An old man walks into a boxing gym full of young fighters. Within minutes, they're laughing at him. But by the time he throws his first punch, every single one of them is dead silent. That man was Clint Eastwood, hoodie up, hands wrapped in tape older than some of the boxers themselves. He stepped into the ring like had TM done it 1,000 times. "Oh, yo, is this guy serious?" one of the trainers muttered. A couple of cocky amateurs smirked, egging each other on to show the grandpa how it's done. But what none of them realized was who they were actually dealing with. Because the owner of the gym, watching quietly from upstairs, suddenly turned pale. He dropped his clipboard, rushed down the stairs and shouted, "Oh, wait, oh, stop everything." How so? What he said next flipped the room upside down. The room froze. The loud thuds of gloves hitting bags, the chatter, the music. Everything came to a halt. The gym owner pushed through the stunned fighters, his eyes locked on Clint. "Oh, you guys have no idea who that man is." "Oh," he said, his voice sharp with disbelief. One of the boxers scoffed. "Oh yeah, Toma is just some old dude trying to relive his glory days." But the owner stepped into the ring himself, voice shaking now, not with fear but with reverence. "Halatsam," says Clint Eastwood. "He trained with real fighters back when some of you were still in diapers." Houtem says worked with champions. That man directed one of the most respected boxing films in Hollywood history, and he did it after spending years in real gyms like this one. So the room went silent, some jaws literally dropping. One fighter who had been laughing just seconds ago now looked down, embarrassed. But Clint didna TMT gloat. He didna TM even look up. He just calmly adjusted his stance, took one step forward, and with perfect form, sent the heavy bag swinging so hard it clanked against its chain. At QRTMs, when someone whispered from the corner, "Oh, I think we just disrespected a legend." But this was just the beginning. Because Clint wasn't a TMT done proving them wrong. Clint slowly unzipped his hoodie, revealing an old but unmistakable logo stitched into his shirt, $1 million gym, the same name as the one from his legendary film. One of the younger trainers blinked in disbelief and whispered, "Oh, no way, oh, is that his shirt?" Clint glanced at him and gave the faintest nod. Without saying a word, he walked over to the sparring ring and tapped the ropes, motioning for someone to join him. The same guy who had mocked him earlier chuckled nervously. "Oh, you want me to spar with you?" Oh, Clint didna bo TMT respond, just raised his gloves. A moment passed, then two. Finally, the kid stepped in. What followed left the entire gym breathless. Clint didn't TMT throw wild punches. He didn't TM to move fast. But every motion was sharp, calculated, like a master chess player 3 moves ahead. The young fighter lunged forward and missed. Again, missed. Then Clint stepped in, and with a simple, fluid combo, landed 2 clean shots to the kid attempts. Body and tapped his gloves on the side of his head just enough to say, "Oh, gotcha." The crowd around the ring gasped. The mocking grins were gone. Phones started recording, and then from the shadows a man stepped forward holding an old photo. "Oh, Clint," he said. "Oh, you remember this?" Oh, it was a picture of Clint, years ago, standing with a legendary boxing coach, right there in that same gym. The connection? The coach was the current owner, TM's father, and what Clint said next left the room stunned. Clint took the photo gently, his fingers tracing the edges like it held more than just memories. It held time itself. "He was the one who taught me everything," Clint said quietly. "Hard footwork, discipline, respect." The gym owner swallowed hard. "Oh, that was my dad. You trained with him, and you never once bragged about it?" Clint gave a slight smile. "Or real fighters don't want him to need to talk." They let the ring speak. The room fell into stunned silence again. This time not from embarrassment, but respect. The same young boxer who had mocked Clint earlier stepped forward and said, "Oh, Sirao, would you train me?" Clint looked at him. Not with pride, not with ego, but with the kind of calm authority that can tempt be faked. If you, TM, are ready to listen, and when TM am ready to teach. And just like that, everything changed. Phones were no longer out to mucka. They were recording a legacy unfolding. What started as a joke became a turning point for the entire gym. New respect was born, old values were restored, and every single fighter there left that night with one thought burning in their mind. Oh, we just witnessed something historic. And we almost missed it because we were too busy laughing. As the gym emptied that night, whispers turned into conversations. Word spread faster, not just about what Clint Eastwood did in the ring, but how he carried himself with silent power. The next morning, local news had already picked up the footage. Headlines read, "All Legend returns. Clint Eastwood stuns. Boxing gym with unforgettable lesson." But what truly shocked everyone was what happened 3 days later. A sleek black SUV pulled up to the same gym and outstepped one of the most famous active boxing champions in the world. He walked straight in, looked around, and said, "Where wow, Tim's Eastwood?" The stunned owner pointed to the back where Clint was quietly wrapping another kid wow Tim's gloves. The champion nodded with respect, walked up and said, "How, sir, I watched what you did. That was more than just boxing, that was a masterclass in character." Clint simply replied, "Real strength is now TMIT shown when people are watching. Itau TM's shown when no one is." And then he handed the gloves to the kid, looked up and added, but sometimes, Itau TM's good when people finally pay attention." What started as laughter had now become legend, and the gym was never the same again. Weeks later, the once quiet gym had transformed into a place of respect and legacy. People traveled from cities away just to train there, not for fame, but to understand what Clint Eastwood had reignited: humility, grit, and honor. The young boxer who had mocked him? He now arrived early, stayed late, and referred to Clint as Idris or Coach Mgao, but Clint never made a show of it. He simply stood back, letting the fighters grow, only stepping in when silence said more than words. On his final day at the gym, Clint left behind only one thing: a worn-out pair of gloves and a note that read, "Away TM's not about who hits hardest. It on TM's about who keeps showing up with heart. No cameras, no goodbye speech. Just a legacy left in the sweat and spirit of those who finally understood the man behind the silence."